So you've recently started vlogging, right? I'm curious to know your perspective about how it's going, being out in public and, experiencing maybe people looking at you and things like that.
Yeah, so I've been vlogging for about a month now, and it's super interesting. Really, kind of the reason I got into it was we tried vlogging with this channel for about 3 episodes. We did 3 vlogs while in Maui, and that sparked my interest. It was a lot of work. I mean, we did it together. We took turns editing the videos, gathering all the clips. It was like a good trial, I suppose, like getting our feet into it. Just because, like, you don't think about like taking all these clips and then not. You take all these clips, but you don't really know how you're going to combine them all to make a video. And then you come back, download them all into your computer, and you're like, how am I going to fit all this together to make it like something that someone wants to watch?
Right.
And so that's been kind of like the interesting part. I actually like that part, and I also like the actual like going out and gathering the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're talking about this today is we want to talk about vlogging as a whole. And Abe has a very different experience than I have. Abe has started his own channel, but I have guest starred in some of the videos when I'm able to come with. And it's an interesting experience having people look at you, having people like ask you questions, figuring out if you can film different places. And so that's kind of the topic of today's podcast episode. And if you don't know us, we are the Get Out and Enjoy Life podcast, also known as GOEL. And I'm Elexa.
And I'm Abe.
And we're basically a podcast, a lifestyle type podcast, where we discuss things like travel, events that we're going to, things going on in our daily life. We've even done recaps of what we've done on the weekends or in during the week, things like that. And we just want to share that with people. I feel like everybody has such an interesting perspective about what's going on in their life. And so we thought we'd share ours as well.
Yeah. So, I created my own channel. It's called Abe Explores. It doesn't have Alexa's name in it just because at the time we weren't really sure where we were going with the podcast and just kind of all the content in general. And then also I wanted to be able to kind of not do what I want, but more of like be able to have episodes when you're not in it. And not because I don't want you in it, but just because I have time off during the week sometimes while you're working. And so actually it's kind of turned into this like, episode where we have an episode with both of us together, and then it's just me, and then it's an episode of both of us. And I've been trying to post about 2 episodes a week, and I'm a month into the channel, and it's been pretty good. It kind of branched off from like GOEL podcast and kind of the same idea realm of like get out and enjoy life. That's why it's called Explores. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it works well kind of having your own thing, because then you get to be creative in your own ways, whether that's from like creating the thumbnails to deciding what you're going to do a video on. Like you said, you're free during the week, so why not film a video at that time? Yeah,
and you've kind of, with me starting my own channel, you've really taken over GOEL podcast, because honestly it was going to probably like, we were taking turns editing it, but I haven't really been editing. I haven't edited any of these. It's really GOEL podcast you've taken on, which it's looking really good. Yeah,
so this is now a big project for me. But it's nice because, I mean, things we get to do in the videos, we could also discuss here if it pertains to a topic that we're discussing, right?
Like the vlogging.
Right, like vlogging. It's an interesting thing. We're both big fans of YouTube. I've watched YouTube for so long. I swear, like, I don't know, for years and years and years. And I've always been, like, amazed at vloggers and people who are kind of like influencers. Like, it's just interesting to watch their lives. And as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, they get to do more travels. They get these sponsorships. All these fun things also come with it. But what also is neat is that we get to document things that are happening in our life,
Right.
which is really fun too.
Also, the other part is that, you know, until you kind of like start trying to put together a YouTube channel or maybe just like content creator, you don't realize how much work it is to actually go out and do it.
It's
really, I mean, gathering the content and then going and putting it together. And there's a huge, huge learning curve. Just because you got to figure out like what type of software are you going to use, and then you know what can you video on, and how do you get good sound quality, and
also what music can you use
that's
on
the other
your videos,
big one,
because copyright's a big thing. You need to know what is copyright free, what is acceptable to use. Luckily, YouTube has a
library.
YouTube studio, and in that studio, that's kind of the back end of what we see when we're uploading videos. And they have an audio library where you can use that music.
Everything in there I've seen is copyright free. You can always hover over it, but so that was a huge learning curve. And then the vlogging piece, it was you know, we went really kind of technical in the beginning with the podcast and like buying the sound equipment and things like that. Not high end, but just buying equipment for it. And it was too bulky and too cumbersome, and then we went really low key with just using an iPhone and no microphones.
Totally.
Right? And then we've kind of balanced out where we're using iPhone and microphones and things. So but jumping back to the vlogging, you know, when you see these vloggers on YouTube, they're, you know, everything looks pristine, pretty well put together, but like what you don't see is the vloggers, you know, view, like, and we experienced this when we were vlogging today, was, you know, people are looking at you while you're doing it, and they're like, maybe not like staring at you, but they're like doing a double take on like
curious.
What's going on.
They're curious about what's going on. We actually did a video, an IKEA video, and we got stopped by this little family, and the mom, she asked us if we were vloggers, if we or if we were YouTubers, which is, I would be honest, it kind of was like a cool experience, because we actually looked like we're somebody.
They wanted to know what type of equipment we were using. And
she subscribed to Abe's channel.
So that was super cool as well. And you know, we are vloggers, but like, are we like well known or, you know, not at all.
Not
so
yet.
we're like, but we don't have a lot of people subscribed. We're not famous right now. But it's very interesting. How have you been liking the experience of vlogging?
I think it's really fun. I think we already go to a lot of events and do a lot of things, check out new restaurants, all that. So it's kind of just like taking the camera with us to things that we would have already gone to by ourselves. So I like it for that. And I like looking back at the videos and being like, oh, like I remember that place that we went to, that experience that we had, that funny thing that happened. But I will say I am a bit nervous when it comes to actually filming in public. Specifically today, we went to Olympia, which is the capital of Washington State. And we were planning on going there anyways. Went to the farmer's market, met this wonderful lady who was interested actually in learning about our vlogs and videos.
Reinvigorated us.
It inspired us.
And
we can touch on that in a second. But it's just interesting to have people look at you. Like, Abe is not afraid to ask the store owners or managers, can we vlog this? Can we do a little video of this? Can we record? Which I think is really good. It's really respectful, and it makes it so that our bases are covered if somebody comes up to us. And then we also went to an art store, and Abe was sitting here with the camera like this, up above.
On the outside. We were outside on the sidewalk.
We were outside of the store. We were just talking about our experience in the art store. And here comes this lady like, do you need me to take a photo of you? And like we were in the middle of filming like our little clip.
We were like almost done too.
Almost done. And then we're like, oh no. And we had to stop part of the way through. And what happens is if you stop and you're kind of like out of that mode for a second, sometimes it's hard to pick back up where you were and you have to redo the clip, which happens to us.
And honestly, we do redo clips quite a bit. We almost do like a trial clip
Yeah.
where like, you know, it's like forming your thoughts together and how
Right.
you want to say something, and then you kind of like, you know, kind of jumble through it, and then you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
the second time around it flows better and
Yeah.
it comes out way more articulated.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So it's been really, it's exciting. It's fun. Sometimes when we're eating something, I'm like, oh, please, I just want to eat this right away. But sometimes we need a clip for the vlog.
Right.
So that's kind of tricky.
Or downside sometimes to vlogging, yeah.
Yeah. And I also think it's like great because we do all these things, but like you said, it's a downside is that it feels like everything we do needs to be vlogged.
Which it doesn't necessarily need to be.
It doesn't need to
No.
be. So I think
Finding a balance.
setting boundaries
Yeah.
of like, you know, maybe it's like one day you decide we're not going to do this today. We're just going to enjoy we're just going to enjoy each other's time, which we do that. And we do turn off the camera. It's not like we're sitting there taking clips of everything we're doing.
Also, like the clips are usually only like 1 minute to 2 minutes long.
Maybe.
If we're like in it, like talking.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's just like taking a quick like clip. And that kind of brings me to the editing side of, you know, how do you put together a vlog? Really, I think there's tons of ways to do it. Or how do you put together a YouTube channel? There's so many ways to edit. Like sometimes people will like be like vlogging the entire time. Like this is me, you know, eating a bagel and then paying for the bagel and walking to, or, you know, that's kind of backwards, but walking to the store, paying for a bagel, eating a bagel, walking out of the store.
Yeah.
But also the style on how I've been vlogging kind of makes it so that it's not so intrusive into like our, you know, daily activities of when I'm vlogging, which is like I'll just take small clips and then maybe we'll do like a 1 to 2 minute like talk while like we have the bagel in front of us.
Yeah.
And then really, so when I come back, I have all these clips, and as I'm talking, I'll throw the clips over top while I'm talking.
Yeah, which I think is really nice because, you know, especially with how videos are, like these very short reels or like TikTok videos or whatever, I feel like people's attention spans are like, they need that those quick changes in videos, even if you're doing something that's like long form kind of content. So I think it's really good that you do that because it keeps the interest going. You're beautiful and amazing to look at, but I would just say that.
You too.
It's my future husband. But I would just say that it's nice. You're talking, and then it's like, clip. Okay, now I know what he's talking about, you know?
Right, yeah.
So I like that style that you're doing.
And we had talked about making GOEL into like a vlogging channel as well, kind of earlier on.
Yeah.
But right now, focusing on the podcast, I think, piece.
Yeah. I will link the Maui videos that we did because those were a really fun thing to do. It was a nice break from what we were doing on the podcast. And we put so much time and effort into those videos to really show different parts of Maui. And it's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys should check it out.
Yeah, if you haven't already.
Yeah.
But, so that's kind of been my experience with vlogging so far. And it's been fun. You know, touching back onto, we met this lady today while we were out. And she kind of told us a little bit about her life, and she was an avid traveler. It sounds like. Yeah.
She's been all over into certain countries multiple times, and also had a career. A family, all these different things. And it was like, wow, we would really love to do that.
Yeah.
We love travel. We would love to do that more often and maybe for a longer amount of time at some point.
Right. And we've kind of talked about doing like a gap year, but maybe not a gap year, maybe like 9 months or something like that. And I don't know, I think a lot of people kind of like fantasize about that. Maybe not that amount of time, but like fantasize about a couple of months off or a month off.
I'm sure.
And it's how do you support that? we kind of did like a little YouTube digging or research, you could say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I don't know if it's just the channel that we were watching on, like, because, you know, the algorithm really, everyone sees different things. So
Right.
we actually were watching it on my channel, but, or my, you know, YouTube account. But we could maybe try on yours to see if it pulls up anything different. But really, there was no, like, middle class examples in terms of how middle class people are able to go and do a gap year. It's really either people like coming straight out of college or high school.
Yeah.
And at that point in your life, usually you don't have much money.
But a lot of times, if you're doing something like that, you have family to back you up.
Like
just in
personally,
case
you don't have a
something-
lot, but you have family to back you up. But then there's the other side, which was on YouTube, which is like almost like these people that are making tons of money.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We'll have to pave our own way, like just kind of thinking, if we even pursue that.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the examples, like you mentioned, we just couldn't relate. It didn't relate to our jobs. We couldn't find any. We found one person, however, she did a gap year like in 2014. And we know that the world is very different now in 2024.
Inflation and everything else.
Things are expensive. I think she went to something like 12 countries or something like that. And then we also saw this video on TikTok that was like, oh, I traveled to 33 countries for a year. But when you're talking about somebody who's maybe in like the financial sector or
they were all
certain
like
parts of corporate America.
Yeah, corporate America.
Which is not us.
Right.
It's just we can't relate to that same
it's
lifestyle.
Hard to fathom or like relatability, I guess is the word there, like you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't think we're particularly people who are chasing after like money.
No.
Like, you know, like
we're chasing after like happiness.
We're chasing after a kind of almost like a lifestyle, a certain way that we want to live.
Correct, yeah.
I guess.
Like to go experience life. Let's get out and experience life. Goal, right?
Yeah, like get out, experience new cultures, languages, things that we don't see here in the United States.
Food.
I mean, food is huge. We're food lovers.
One of the things she talked about, actually, this lady that we met today, was like all the food. She's like, oh, if I could just eat my way through every, you know, everywhere.
The cuisines are just amazing.
Cuisine is amazing. Like, great way to experience culture, and that's so good.
So our hope is that the vlogging, the podcast, you know, that we'll really get to like connect with other people who really are interested in what we're interested in.
Right.
Traveling, having a beautiful life, you know.
A beautiful life. There it is.
A beautiful life, right? Like
everyone's definition of a beautiful life is different.
Totally.
But like ours would be traveling at this moment in time and like experiencing cultures, different cultures and foods, and it's like
even just when we've traveled together, we've met other couples, and it's so interesting to hear their experiences. When we were abroad, we met one couple that literally quit their jobs, and they were going to travel for 3 months and then figure it out.
And we guessed that they were probably some type of
thought they were
Instagram.
influencers.
Yeah, influencers.
They were beautiful, both of them.
They were.
Even
They're like, oh
wow,
my gosh.
Good looking couple.
Yeah, for real. Yes.
And they were so kind.
Yeah, they were really nice to people too, which is like you can't even hate them.
I know.
They're like, okay, you're beautiful to look at. You guys are nice to talk to.
Yeah, I couldn't say anything bad.
You guys have to be some type of influencer. You'd think maybe they're not.
I hope that they are.
Right. I mean, they do a great job at it.
Really? Yeah. I think they would get a big following. And then we met somebody else who also was just taking a break from their job and traveling all over Europe. And it was so inspirational and like, wow, I wish like we could do that. And then when we talked to this lady today, it just inspiration. It sparked that inspiration again and that excitement. And while the videos and everything, they're a lot of work, but it's a lot of good work, and we have an amazing product at the end.
Yeah.
That we can
It's fun.
share, and we even share them with our families
Right.
just for fun to show them what we've been doing, and we really have a passion for it.
Like most of our subscribers are our family, I think.
I think they're all people who know us or close to it. So far.
So far, yes.
We'll see.
The goal is to broaden that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you for watching this episode and joining us as we talk about vlogging and our experiences. We hope to see you in our next episode, so you can keep joining in on the fun.
We'll see you on our next episode. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.